Hello and welcome to Car Guys. This week, my obsession with a 5-litre V12 BMW. So I really want to talk to you about the BMW 750. This is the E38 model, and it's a car that it's fair to say I am obsessed with. I've always loved the shape. I've loved the fact that it's the range-topping 7 Series from the period, which is the mid-90s. I've always loved the fact that it has absolutely every gadget and gizmo that you can imagine. It's festooned with beautiful leather and wood. It's a sumptuous ride, and at the heart of the car is that glorious 5.4 litre V12, 300 brake horsepower, which of course by modern standards is really not that much at all, but back then it was more than sufficient. I just fell in love with the luxury. I fell in love with the way it went about its business, because of course if you've got Bentleys or Rolls Royces or even Mercedes from this sort of age, which is in this case 1996, they are lacking sporting pretensions. But what I like about the BMW 750 is that you've got all the power, but when you do want to get moving, the chassis, you know, the suspension, especially if you put it in the SEDC mode, which tightens up, firms the suspension, gives you a more sporting feel, also stiffens up the steering, gives you a bit more weight. As soon as you flick those modes on, you know, this car transforms from being sort of like a nice wallowy luxury limousine into something that can really shift and it can handle. So is it still fast? It's 21 years old. Can it still cut the mustard? Well, let's find out, shall we? Pop the gear stick over from the right over into the left, holds the gears longer. You've also got full sequential gearbox. Foot down, there we go, surge of torque. She's still got it, she's still got it. This is a quick car even now. You know, we're talking a 6-second 0 to 60, which for a car weighing more than 2 tons is not too shabby. And it will go on to a limited 155 miles an hour. God knows what it would do if you took the limiter off. Maybe I'll have to do that sometime. We've got a lovely overtaking manoeuvre here, so we can use that step down. There we go. Off we go. Fabulous. Fabulous surge of power. Really does move. I love that the 750 is really the height of luxury, because you've got leather obviously all around. You've got little bits of high quality leather everywhere. Walnut strips around the dash, which gives it that real feeling of luxury. Walnut gear knob and surround. So you are surrounded in luxury. Not quite to the same standard as a Bentley or a Rolls Royce, but you wouldn't expect it. You know, this car was about £90,000 new in 1996. The equivalent Rolls Royce or Bentley would have been another 100,000 on top of that. This one that I'm driving right now is without doubt the finest that I've ever driven. The reason simply being, it's a 25,000 mile car, so it's 21 years old. It's only done 25,000 miles, and that means it drives like it's brand new. The engine bay is spotless. What a beauty. The interior is absolutely unblemished. I have a sneaky suspicion that no one has ever sat in that passenger seat. Certainly very few people have ever sat in the back. Pristine. I mean, there's no other word for it. It's absolutely perfect. The good thing about having the range-topping 7 Series is that of the time this would have had all the latest tech that you would have on luxury cars, and that would have gradually filtered down to the lesser models. So I mean, this one, it's a fully loaded model. You've got a full climate control adjustable system for both sides, air conditioning, entertainment system, which of course includes a television, onboard computer, graphic equalizer system, CD auto changer, and the tape. Always nice to have a tape for that retro kitsch feel. Heated seats, very useful in winter and very powerful. parking sensors front and rear, you've got memory seats, you've got electric windows all round, electric mirrors, chromatic mirrors, rear sun blind. So if you have passengers in the back and you're fearful that the sun is going to burn their necks, you can actually press this button and behind you the sun blind goes up automatically. It's one of the little party pieces of this car. SEDC, which is the dynamic system that stiffens up the suspension and the steering, gives it a lot more of a sporty feel. You've got Traffic Master. It is a very primitive early traffic warning system of impending traffic jams. It's like a CFAX, very basic blue digital display. These days you cannot imagine anything more primitive and horrible, but again, even though it doesn't actually work anymore because Traffic Master has been abandoned, it's still quite nice to have it, and every now and again you can flick it on and enjoy that sort of very basic BBC Micro 8-bit computer feel. And of course we look out over the legendary BMW dials. Everything is where you want it to be. The gear knob falls naturally to hand. You've got all the major controls up front quite close to you. You've got this center rest here which has got pockets inside should you need them, and then somewhere to put all your loose change. If you're going to get a 750, you've got to get yourself a lovely one with an 80s phone in it. You get them front and back. I think in this car it's only the front, but my previous car it was both. So you can imagine there being a sort of master of the universe, captain of industry sitting in the back whilst the chauffeur drives them to the next meeting. It's got a good presence on the road. It's a wide car, it's heavy, it's got a good stance. Other cars just get out of the way. Again, making it a fantastic long distance cruiser. It just comes along, get out of the way. I'm big and I'm German, get out of the way. The lines, I think, on the E38 750, which this is, I think that's where they nailed this car, because you've got a beautiful sweeping straight line all the way from the front to the rear. Everything's sharp. This is the model, remember, before Chris Bangle got involved in the design of BMWs and it all went a bit wrong and a bit strange. This is also the last BMW before they brought in the iDrive control system, which I personally hate. We're doing the UK national speed limit at the moment. Guess how many revs we're pulling? No, you're wrong. 1800 revs. 1800 revs at 70 miles an hour. This is what this car does best. It sits on motorways and it goes forever. They can easily cope with 200,000–300,000 miles without blinking, and you can pick them up very cheaply. There is no built-in obsolescence in BMW 750s. They are built to last until the end of time. I think a lot of people have got concerns that these would drink fuel excessively, that they would be the Tory Canyon in terms of running costs, but it's just not the case. Surprisingly, you get pretty good mileage out of this car. You know, the fuel economy, considering it's such a large V12, is actually pretty good. I tend to get 21 miles to the gallon out of this car, and that surprises a lot of people. Servicing on something like this, very reasonable, probably anywhere between £280 and £500, depending on the size of the service. Parts are not exorbitant. Obviously there's a lot of them around, and BMW's quite a large outfit. Things don't tend to break at all in the first place, so what you'll find with something like this is you'll get wear and tear in the areas where you would expect, and that's going to be primarily the suspension components and the bushes and the rubbers and all those things, because this is a heavy car, and don't forget you have a very heavy V12 up front. So one of the most common things that occur or go wrong with these cars is to do with the mountings and the joints and the balls over the front of the engine, because they have to deal with a hell of a lot of weight being shifted around, and that's where it tends to get tired first. But they're not ludicrous to replace. They're fairly simple jobs, and they certainly shouldn't put you off something like this. So probably there's only two downsides of owning a car like this. Number one, people will keep calling it a granddad car. The other downside is BMW's image itself and how other road users treat you. You will never be allowed out of turnings. You will never have anyone say thank you. You will probably be cut up more than other cars. You will rarely get smiles. That's just BMW ownership. For far less than the cost of a new car, you've got a V12 BMW limousine. If you bought a new car, your car would have gone down in value by about 70%. This car, more likely, will have kept its value or possibly even gone up. So there's a real argument for bypassing these new cars and maybe focusing on something like this, a little bit more classic, and you beat that depreciation trap and you can do it with a smile on your face.